Hi folks, I'm just going to post a really quick video on the peer review. So by tonight you should have posted a draft of your final project on the discussion board. That's the discussion board for this week. Whatever format you do your final project in, just post that in there, right? And if it's a link, post the link, right? If you're doing a video or something else. Um, and then now I'm going to go over like how to respond to your peers in a constructive way. Um, by Friday, you will have to have reviewed two of your peers' final projects, right? And we're using the same pattern that we've been using throughout the semester. So you will respond to, you will offer a peer review for the person who posted before you and the person who posted after you, right? So when you peer review your partner's paper, try to make sure you're giving them constructive and specific feedback, right? Um, don't be like, this is what you did wrong, right? Instead, try providing feedback that notes what they're doing well, right? Explains your experience reading the paper or right watching the video, whatever it is, and see asking questions that might help the writer better understand what's missing or what needs to change. Okay. Um, so I gave you some examples here too on basically like the difference between negative versus constructive feedback. Right, here's an example. So like this whole paragraph is confusing. I don't know what you're saying, right? Like that does not tell them what is confusing about the paragraph. And obviously, if they wrote this paragraph, they felt like it wasn't confusing. And so you need to give them more specific information. A constructive way to try to communicate the same thing would be to say, like, I got confused in this paragraph, right? That points to your experience reading it. And then say, are you saying X, right? Are you saying that, right, zombies are actually good? Right, because that's if you think that that's maybe what they're saying, you can offer that to them and saying, "Is this what you're trying to say here?" Right? And then you say, "When I read this, I wasn't sure if you meant X or Y." Right? And what you're doing here is you're helping them see what is on the paper, what actually made it into the paragraph or into the presentation or whatever, right? And giving them some hints about like where it's confusing and why it's confusing, so that they can then turn around and figure out how to fix it. Right. Another example is the first paragraph is fine, but the rest of the paper falls apart. Right. That doesn't even tell them what's fine about the first paragraph. That doesn't even help them see like what they did right that they then need to like fix throughout. So a more constructive way to say that would be like the first paragraph is really clear and explains what to expect. I think that paragraphs 2 and 4 would be easier to understand if they were more like paragraph 1. And that at least gives the writer a little bit of information about what they did right and what would help in other places. So constructive feedback asks questions, points to specific sections or sentences, and lets the writer know what you are experiencing as a reader. And I really want to emphasize that last part is that if you kind of come from your own perspective and try to communicate that to the writer and say like, okay, I felt confused, I felt this, um, I think maybe you're saying this, but is that correct? Then it helps them understand what actually made it into the project, what's being communicated through their work. Because like we all write papers and think we know what the paper says because we know what we are trying to say, but a lot of the time the whole message doesn't quite make it into the final product, right? So it helps to have this kind of like really good constructive feedback where the person is communicating what they're experiencing as they read it and being very clear about what they're confused about and what is problematic or throwing them off or whatever. Right? So for your peer review, please use the comment function in Microsoft Word. If that's not possible, you can type into the document using bold, underline font in all caps so that your partner can easily locate your comments. And that's key. Make it really easy for them to locate your comments. Um, and then your peer review should do the following, right? Offer at least 2 comments per paragraph, right? And those can be positive. It doesn't all, it like, this is not in any way like you need to go through their whole thing and find 2 problems with every paragraph. Like both of those comments can be positive. It can be like, oh, look at this. This is great. This is also great. Um, Tell the writer what they're doing right, what parts you enjoy. Again, what you do right when you're writing is just as important as what you do wrong. And like it's really important for us to learn what our strengths are and what we're good at so that we can do those again, right? So we can repeat the things that we're doing right. Identify the thesis statement. So you can do this with the comment function. And again, if the comment function isn't working, just do like underline font in all caps, right? So that they can actually see it. If you can't identify the thesis statement, it is perfectly okay to highlight a couple different sentences and say like, okay, is this the thesis statement here? Is this it? Right? I think maybe this is the thesis statement, but I'm not sure. And then evaluate the introduction. So does it accurately forecast where the essay is going and why? Does it include a thesis statement? Does it clearly state the subject? Um, and then evaluate the conclusion, right? Does it feel like a resolution? Does it mirror the introduction by tying the various points of the essay together in a way that is harmonious with the introduction's forecast, right? So like, did we start out with an introduction that said it was going to be a paper that went in one direction, and then by the time we're at the end, it goes somewhere else? And that is the thing that's very, very common, is you actually will kind of change what you are saying by the time you are done with the paper. I do this all the time. And so after I'm finished with the paper, I have to actually go back and look at my introduction, see what it says, and see what kind of paper it is forecasting, and then look at my conclusion and say, like, all right, is this actually the same paper? Did these things go in the same direction? Or is there some like changes that I have to make this kind of like a more harmonious piece? And then 6, give the writer at least 2, but ideally more constructive suggestions on how to make the paper more readable or more effective. And then these guidelines will be changed, obviously, a little bit if your partner is doing like a presentation or something else. And you're more than welcome to reach out to me to figure out how to kind of like do a peer review on a video or a podcast or something. But basically, I think you can kind of follow these guidelines, um, and it'll work, because even a podcast or a YouTube video is going to have an introduction and a conclusion, and it's going to have, you know, words are going to be used to make a point. Okay, so try to follow this. If you have trouble with this, if you're nervous, if you don't understand how to use Microsoft Word, whatever else, like please reach out to me, especially on Remind. That makes it really easy for me to respond to you guys. I know I'm still just going crazy on Remind. And then I'm going to preview or show you basically how to use the comment function. The easiest way is to right click and go down to new comment. And wherever you right click, it will basically highlight that word. Okay. Another way, if you want to do a whole sentence, right, would be to do this number right here. So highlight however much of it you want, then right click and do new comment. Okay. And you have to post, like you're gonna say, and then you're gonna post it. So you have to hit X, or not X, you have to hit the arrow before it actually posts. Okay. Otherwise, it won't post, and then that disappears, right? If you don't want to do it for this reason, or for in this way for whatever reason, you can also do, I think it's review. Yep. So highlight whatever it is you want to make a comment on, go to review, hit new comment, and the same thing pops up. Okay. So that's how you do that. Let's switch over here really quick. So again, here is the handout for this assignment. Peer review due by Friday, and that's 2. You're gonna do 2 peer reviews, right? And then everyone will have until the 10th to complete all of the revisions that they want to make. Okay. Let me know if you have questions. And again, I really, really encourage you guys to take chances with this assignment and to do something you really want to do, or do something creative. And if you're not totally sure about what you want to do, still let me know. Okay. Get in contact with me and we can talk through it. Okay. All right.